Hi, my name's Nathan. I made this channel for my more personal videos where I may talk about my thoughts on entertainment or whatever else is going on in the culture. My other types of videos, whether it be short films, gaming videos, or toy videos, will be on my other channel, OOD, and that is O0D. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some creations of mine that I've been working on for a good long while. This is Assassin's Creed Savage Industry, a pencil-drawn comic book fanfiction I started in 2014 when I was in sophomore year of high school, back when Black Flag was the newest Assassin's Creed game. You can find these comics on my other YouTube channel, and I may even upload them here someday. The idea behind it was to put a character inspired by myself in the Assassin's Creed universe and construct a cool story around it. It isn't officially canon, but to this day it still fits within the AC universe and has no contradictions to it. Both the present day and historical eras are set in places and or time periods where the franchise has never been, so I've had the creative freedom to craft a story that connects the modern day parts to the historical parts. The story was crafted primarily around what makes sense for the setting, and what types of characters may be involved, whether that be fictional ones or historical ones. The creative process never involved any thoughts about forced diversity or the inclusion of non-white men, as my intentions were to make an interesting Assassin's Creed story that made sense, rather than virtue signal about how socially progressive I am, like many creatives in the mainstream entertainment space like to do these days. Because I started this series 8 years ago, the writing and the artwork may start off as a bit cringy, but I think it still fits within the universe just fine, and it improves as you progress through the issues. After issue 4, the timeline for this series continues into a live-action webisode that I filmed with my friend in a single day. This was one of my earliest attempts at creating a short film with a serious tone, so it certainly has plenty of elements that need improvement, but once again, the events that are presented in it still fit within the story I'm trying to tell. The webisode ended up getting finished an entire year after it was filmed, most likely because I was trying to find a feasible way to create the music for it, as all of the music in the webisode was made by me. In the years since the webisode was released in 2017, I had been working on the next comic in the series. This would end up being the final comic I would do, as my goals for this story are to continue it into more webisodes in the future, which I'll be talking about later. So let's talk about the story. I don't want to get into big spoilers in this video, as I encourage people to check these comics out. You can currently find them on my other YouTube channel, like I said. The first comic revolves around a new Abstergo Industries building that shows up in Escanaba, Michigan, a town that resides on Lake Michigan in the north. The main character, Matthew Firebrain, believes Abstergo is a company with good intentions that is not only benefiting the city, but the world. Eventually, an event ensues that results in the main character demonstrating abilities that he never knew he had. This is an element that is further explored in issue 2, where an Abstergo employee realizes Matthew had an experience with genetic memory connection, which is something we've seen with other characters in the Assassin's Creed universe through the bleeding effect. Only this time, no Pieces of Eden or Animus was needed. This prompts the Abstergo employee to put Matthew in an Animus so his condition can be studied. This is where we are brought to the late 14th century in issue number 3. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this franchise, in Assassin's Creed lore, the memories of our ancestors are something that is passed down to us and contained within our DNA. The Animus is a device that decodes these DNA files and allows a person to relive them. The ancestor that Matthew gets introduced to is a boy by the name of Nopal Frey, living in the city of Cologne. His story is kicked off with a sort of conspiracy within his family, which leads him to a crossing of paths involving the Assassin's Brotherhood. At this point, shit hits the fan and Matthew is forced to desynchronize from his session in issue 4. This is where the first webisode comes in. This short little episode tells a short story of how Abstergo may be somewhat of a threat to Matthew, and it delves into what their intentions may be. Issue 5 comes after webisode 1. Here, the plot is dived into more deeply, and motivations are revealed as Matthew is put back into the Animus for a specific reason you'll learn about when reading. The story then spirals into a philosophical journey about liberty versus tyranny, and many classic Assassin's Creed tropes are explored and referenced for the benefit of character and plot development. The historical event that is covered in this comic is known as the Peasants Revolt. This was a countrywide event that took place in the summer of 1381 throughout England, ending with a climax in London. It was caused by governmental abuse involving excessive taxation, which brewed a massive movement of resistance looking to demand more freedom from the English rule. Now, of course, when reading this book, you'll find out the true intentions of the Assassins and Templars within this revolt, and the ramifications that result from it will certainly be explored even in future projects. That's all I have to say about these comic books. They are free to read as they are a fan fiction for an intellectual property that I do not own. But I care deeply about this franchise and have been let down quite a bit with the direction of the games as of late, with Ubisoft focusing on Medjais, Spartans, and Vikings rather than Assassins and the Creed. As far as what comes after the comics, my next project will be an animated film that continues the story of Matthew Firebrain and his assassin lineage. I plan to stick with the 10 commandments of Assassin's Creed as I craft this story, most notably the first one, that being Assassin's Creed will always tell the story of the secret war between assassins and Templars. I can't wait to share these projects with you in the future, and I hope you read through these comic books. Thanks for checking out my new channel.